Now, as far as the city of Minneapolis goes, and the nightlife, the club life, you know what I'm saying? The Vice Lords and the Bloods from South Minneapolis, you know what I'm saying? Specifically, Cross Lake. They were known for going to parties, going to clubs, and turning them out. We were doing this so much in between the years of 94 and 98 that by 98, we had been kicked out of every club, sometimes more than once, because some of these clubs will close down and start back up with new names, new ownership, and we get kicked out of those ones. We changed the dress code of the clubs in Minneapolis and St. Paul, the Vice Lords and Bloods from over south, because we were putting it down constantly. And at first they recognized, hey, look, we got a lot of dudes coming in with that red on and that black and gold. And they seem to be the ones causing the problems. The industry was one of the first clubs to do this. And this wasn't even an adult club. We hit the industry for like 3 months straight, every week. You know what I'm saying? Raising hell. And we used to have this thing, we used to do whatever song was representing the hoods at that time. Whatever song was popular, we made sure before we kicked it off that the DJ played that song. That was our, you know what I'm saying, signal to getting busy. I remember a lot of times it used to be either the Loonies, I Got Five on it, or that Regulators. You know, especially like around 94, 95. That's what was popping. And they play that song, we get to represent set tripping, throwing up them Vice Lords, two fingers and a thumb, you know what I'm saying? And them vibes, we dissing, throwing down hoods. And a lot of times we was coming into conflict with the Crips because the Crips were coming up during the middle 90s and the late 80s. They were really solidified in Minneapolis. Previously, before that, they were just trying to gain their ground. They were getting a lot of money, but they didn't have the membership and they weren't as strong to be as dangerous to some of the other larger organizations in the city. But by the middle of the 90s, yeah, they were here. From shotguns to rolling 30s, rolling 60s, rolling 90s, Raymonds, you know what I'm saying? And they were putting it down. And so, them being the major players in the city, a lot of Vice Lords and Bloods, you know what I'm saying, came into conflict with them naturally. Because we were all alphas, we were all riders. And we were in a city that was small. And most of the time, the cats from the south side and the cats from Cross Lake really didn't get in contact with a lot of these other dudes in large numbers in one spot, especially without no heaters, until we crossed paths in these clubs. And a lot of times after them clubs, after shit went down in them clubs, the cats got outside, the boom boom had started. You know, because we were known for having the homies that couldn't get in the club. You finna stay in the car with that thumper. You know what I'm saying? So when it goes down, we get back in that parking lot, it's going down again. I remember, I think it was around like 98, 97. We tore up South Beach. The homegirl, you know what I'm saying? She had a birthday party. So we rented the top of South Beach, for those that remember how South Beach was set up. We rented the whole top floor. So we were getting homies in that weren't allowed in the club. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them was underage, 17, 18 years old. We got them upstairs. They told us it was all good for the birthday party, but they couldn't go downstairs into the main club. But when you're upstairs, you can look down over the balcony and you can see downstairs. And so throughout the night, about 2, 3 hours of partying, we had little homies sneaking downstairs. And then at one point, my brother kicked it off with some Crips. And I just remember that music stopping. One of the homies asked my brother, what? And just as the music stopped. And you know how you gotta talk loud when that music's on in the club. When the music stopped, my brother talking loud. I hear him like, man, he don't like me calling him blood. And you gotta remember at this time, the Bloods and the Vice Lords over South, their hoods connect. We grew up together. A lot of us are family, you know what I'm saying? And by this time, the middle 90s to late 90s, a lot of us were hanging around. The riders that were Vice Lords that were in my circle were cool with all the Bloods. And we busted a move with them numerous amounts of times. You understand me? So we all up in that club together. And when my brother kicks it off, he kicks it off, all the Lords, and it's mostly Bloods in there at that night. But there's like 100 of us. And I'm saying there's only like 15, 20 of those. We mopped the South Beach with them. You had homies jumping over the bar, grabbing whole bottles, smashing dudes. You understand me? We get banned from that club for life. They got our picture and the shit. We can't even get past it. You know what I'm saying? We get to the door, they automatically know. And you know, we young riders, so there was nights when we went downtown just to hang in front of the clubs, looking for some shit to get into. This was the life. But like I said, we changed that dress code when it came to clubs in Minneapolis, because before we put it down, before we started smashing them clubs, you could wear anything. You could go in the club with what I got on. Hats, all that shit, tennis shoes, jeans, khakis, and I'm talking about Dickies. Once we started coming up in that motherfucker, you know, they tried to implement so much to keep us out of that. To the point where they're like, look, you gotta come in with some dress shoes, you know what I'm saying, some dress pants, and a dress shirt. No hats, none of that urban shit. But you know, eventually we just adapted and we still stay going up in the motherfuckers. Cause you know, once a club goes to new management, then you can start going again until you burn it up. You feel me? And you know, I think we learned that from them house party days. You know, them late 80s, early 90s, when we were going to them house parties. That's what type of atmosphere it was. You would go to a house party, you might be over south, go all the way over north to a house party, you don't know who's throwing it. There could be 6 of you Vice Lords walking up into a house party with 75 GVs. And it's gonna go up. You understand me? Remember back in the days when it'd be like 20 dudes and 2 heaters. Maybe 1 heater. You know, them humbug days. But by the middle 90s, you know, all that humbug and shit, wasn't nobody fighting in Minneapolis. With no fades. That's what separates us from Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Unless you catch somebody at the club, at the mall or something, when nobody got heat, ain't nobody handing out no fades. You know what I'm saying? It's busted. Had been like that since like 90, 92, 93. But even if you go and look at the stats of how, you know what I'm saying, what the body counts were in Los Angeles, Chicago, Minneapolis, in the early 90s, middle 90s, late 80s, and then look at the numbers now, you'll see that dog, we was putting it down. You know what I'm saying? It was unmatched. And that's just because just look at the atmosphere today. There's a camera on every doorbell, damn near on every corner. There's a shot spotter. You know, back then, motherfucker getting a shootout for 5 minutes and nobody called the cops. Now you do that and they automatically know when something happened because they got them shot spotters. So a lot of cats that are putting in work now, they're just almost crashing out because eventually, due to all the technology, they're gonna get caught. To whereas back then, you could do it multiple times and not get caught. You could do it throughout the day. There was a lot of times we could get into gunfights over south, slide over north, and come back over south for 4 hours later. Same heater in the car, rolling around like nothing happened, and getting another shootout. You know, you can't do that today. Today, you hit a target, you kind of got to go lay low. Because if you hit something, they checking cameras. They're going to be able to follow you. They're going to be able to, the city's not big. So it wasn't that we were harder back then. It was just that it was easier back then. You understand me? So we were able to do it more. And the only thing that's different nowadays is the dress and the type of firepower. Yeah, we didn't have switches, but we had foliatos. And yeah, not everybody had a heater, but I mean, it's still the same. You can have 100 dudes with heaters, only 20 of them are really dangerous. You understand me? But you know, I just thought I'd get up on this motherfucker, drop a little something about how the shit used to go down in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities. We got some interviews coming. You know what I'm saying? We're still trying to set this up and get that, subscribers up, especially on that new page, The Spot. So what we're doing is we're dropping videos on the spot, and then we're going to take them, we're going to drop it here on the Tyrone Zone. But we're going to ask you, if you support us, to go to The Spot and subscribe. You understand me? Hit that like, that subscribe, share this video, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified the next time we drop. And you know the motto around here, man. Safety first.